Hello everyone, I'm CoolGuy, welcome back, and today we have another piece of Menagerie gear to go over, the Void 740 charge time fusion rifle, the Epicurean. And let's start off this review by saying that this is a good change of pace fusion rifle, and what I mean by that is that this fusion's fun, it has a couple really good things about it that we'll go over today, but when push comes to shove, especially in the Crucible, the air until other high impact fusions do things just a little bit better, and for the stats, the precision frame fusions are extremely similar. The Epicurean is tied for the best range, stability, aim assist, recoil direction. The precision frames are all basically the same fusion, but what sets them apart are going to be the perks and the scopes. Before we get into its perks and perk combinations, let's establish where this fusion sits in the sandbox. Let's go back to it being a change of pace fusion. Its perk set that we're about to go over, a lot of it is going to be PvE centered, and obviously those same perks are going to fare well in the Crucible. At max potential, the Epicurean barely scratches the surface of what a base air until can do in the Crucible, and you're going to have to rely on different perks that you would have used for the air until. And for me, when I review, I don't really hype something if it doesn't really need to be hyped. This is a good fusion, but it has its limits, and one of those limits is going to be consistency. Range and stability come into play a lot. Getting those bolts on target is key, a tight grouping. And a tight grouping is better overall at a certain point. As we go through some of these perks, we're going to show examples of what they do and where you should be looking. So to get the Epicurean, you slot a blue rune of excess at the top, in the left you slot any green rune. In the right, it depends on where you want to go, a green rune for range or a blue rune for stability. While we're here, to farm an air until in the Menagerie, it's a rune of essence at the top, and any blue rune on the left, and again, green for range, blue for stability on the right. The Epicurean has a set scope, and the best way to describe it is that you're kind of looking through a telescope on a pirate ship. It's very big, very open. For the barrels, we have 6 options, and on the screen we have what they do to the stats. Corkscrew rifling, fluted, full bore, hammer forged, polygonal rifling, and small bore. The range options are good, hammer forged, full bore, but also stability is very good, like plus 10 for a polygonal. One of the best and most well-rounded for a fusion is going to be small bore, plus 7 to each stat, range and stability. For the batteries, we have accelerated coils, enhanced battery, ionized battery, liquid coils, particle repeater for plus 10 to stability, and projection fuse for plus 10 to range. The top options are particle repeater, projection fuse, liquid coils, and in PvP those add 1 more damage per projectile, so 7 total damage per burst, but you get a decreased charge time, and that really isn't an issue for these. Collectively for the barrels and batteries, you kind of spec for both range and stability. Any options are good, really, and you need to remember you aren't outranging anyone with this fusion rifle. I do have a max range stat Epicurean. It has 95 range, and that's with full bore, projection fuse, range masterwork, rangefinder, and you would think that this is the dream. It really isn't. At a certain point you hit fall off, and after that you rely on getting projectiles on your target. You can have all the range in the world, but if the bolt grouping isn't tight, you aren't landing anything at range. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the node selections. In the first node we have tap the trigger. Tap the trigger is very, very good on fusion rifles. It's a top tier perk for the Epicurean. You can see how when the burst comes out, it's very straight, almost in a straight line at times. And this is going to be key to landing longer shots. In PvP, you need to land 5 out of 7 projectiles. And with the one I showed you guys that has 95 range, if that one had tapped the trigger, it would be a lot better. I mean a lot better. But as it sits, tap the trigger for this because you're going to be a specialist in mid-range. You want the projectiles to land because you need 5 out of 7. We have Feeding Frenzy, special on a fusion rifle, and pairs really well with any of the perks in the second node. You get a kill, and then a fast reload. We have Quick Draw. I value this over Snapshot on fusions. Under pressure, improved accuracy and stability as the magazine gets lower. It's top tier for fusions. Snapshot, because they have charge times, I don't value this too much. The only time I value it is when I pair it with Backup Plan. And with this node, you have Tap the Trigger, Under Pressure, Feeding Frenzy. I would take all those over Snapshot. And then finally, we have Threat Detector. It's a good perk, especially in PvE. When enemies are around, you get increased reload stability and handling. In the second perk node, we have Demolitionist. Great perk for a fusion rifle, great perk for a grenade build. We have Rangefinder. It's always going to be good, not a bad option if this gets slotted, but I do prefer other perks for this fusion rifle in particular. Backup Plan, good perk, great shutdown to rushers, and in the first node, this is what I like pairing with Snapshot. It's the only time I prefer Snapshot on a fusion rifle. Kill Clip, after a kill, reload for increased damage, a recommended perk for the Epicurean. In PvP, that damage is 33% more, and in PvE, 50% more. We have Swashbuckler. Very special for this fusion rifle, stacks up to ×5, so 5 kills straight in PvE will get you that stack, or you can get a melee, and after you kill the ad, you immediately get a ×5 stack. In PvP, the ×5 stack is a little over 50%, and in PvE, it's about 65% more damage. And then finally, Moving Target, nothing bad to say about it, but due to the archetype and the perk selection, you should be looking for utilizing what it does best. And again, you aren't outranging anyone. The max range of an Epicurean does 39 per bolt up to 22.5 meters. After that, you start getting fall off, and after that point, it's a matter of landing the projectiles on your target. That's where stability comes in, that's where tap the trigger comes in. My tap the trigger kill clip roll hit 39 per bolt up to about 20 meters. But since I have tap the trigger, I'm landing more shots past that. So since you aren't outranging anyone, this fusion's all about the mid-range, outside of max chaperone 11 meter range, and in between that and an air until range. Because as an example, the air until hits 39 per bolt, the max damage of this fusion at about 35 meters. I've seen clips of air until getting 60, 70 meter kills. And for those long distance shots, the roll is going to be firmly planted with tap the trigger with the stability masterwork. So again, at a certain point, it's 100% about landing projectiles with a tight grouping. So with the Epicurean, you aren't outranging anything, so you look at those special combinations. And as far as the top combinations, it's centered around mid-range lethality. When you do that, you're capitalizing on what the Epicurean has to offer. And if you try to spec it out like an air until, you're going to be very, very disappointed. In PvP, it does 39 per bolt within its effective range. It's a 5 bolt kill. The air until is 4, so you have to land a good amount of the burst to even get the kill. With something like Swashbuckler times 5 and kill clip, you get the damage to over 50 per bolt for a 4 bolt kill. So within the mid-range, that's something to really think about. The extra damage artificially pushes out your range, so you get to a point to where you're charging faster than air until and getting the same amount of bolts to kill. I think that's where you want to reach for potential with the Epicurean. For top perk combinations, all these rolls are really good in PvE. And for the barrel and battery, a mixture of range and stability is going to be fine. Liquid coils is good in both PvE and PvP. The little bit of more damage helps, the charge time isn't too bad, but the bulk of what you want comes from the perks. First, we have Feeding Frenzy with Swashbuckler or Kill Clip. Feeding Frenzy allows a fast kill after a reload, and that's really good with something like Kill Clip to get those 4 bolt kills in the Crucible. It's very fast and to the point, and the same goes for Swashbuckler. After you get a kill, it goes to ×1, another kill ×2, and so on. So if you just use the fusion normally, the second kill, the second opponent, it starts doing 40, 41, 42 per bolt, and it helps you out a little bit more. Or if you get a melee on your opponent, it automatically goes to ×5, and then you can keep that ×5 stack up. That's going to be ideal. It's all about pure lethality within the mid-range. Now the same goes for tap the trigger with those 2 perks, Swashbuckler and Kill Clip. The tap the trigger accuracy benefits allows you to land very, very tightly grouped shots, resulting in more frequent kills. It's a little bit more consistent. Another great roll is going to be Feeding Frenzy with Demolitionist for a great grenade build. And the last couple, anything paired with backup plan, and again, that's always going to be nice to have on a fusion rifle. And lastly, Under Pressure overall is going to be good in the first node paired with almost anything. For these rolls in PvE, the Feeding Frenzy Swashbuckler is going to be really, really nice. You get a melee on an ad, get ×5 going, you're now doing 65% more damage per projectile. Very similar to Rampage ×3 in PvE. And this is kind of what this thing does best. You also have something like Kill Clip, it's an increase of about 50% in PvE. Swashbuckler is going to be a tad bit better. And in the Crucible, both these perks again allow a 4 bolt kill. Doing a little bit over 50 per bolt, it's where you want to be right here, that way you can get on streaks. Because the charge time matters in the Crucible. If you're going straight up against an air until you both charge at the same exact time, you're going to get off your shot a tad bit quicker. But of course, you have to be within range, and in conclusion, this is a very, very fun fusion rifle, again as a change of pace. In PvE, it has the highest ceiling with the damage perks, and it very well might be a better option than a damage dealing spec'd air until, due to charge time and the damage that you can put out. In PvP though, it does struggle with consistency because it's a 5 bolt kill. To truly do well, you have to live within that short to mid range, and when you're doing that, damage dealing perks come into play, Kill Clip especially paired with Feeding Frenzy. And one more time, the main thing to take away, this 95 range, Epicurean is the best range that you can get, but the tap the trigger, Kill Clip, or Swashbuckler, all those outperform it, simply due to the shot being a little bit more straighter and then the damage dealt. You can have more range, but you still have to land 5, 6, 7 bolts at those longer ranges. It's very, very tough and not consistent at all. And past that damage drop-off point, again, you have to land 6 or 7. It's not going to be worth it. You might as well 100% commit to that mid-range. So it's up to the user, it's on the user's shoulders, and know its limitations, and focus on your positioning. When you do that, you're gonna have a better time with it, because it is fun to use, but don't expect it to be doing the same things that you're doing with air until. They do completely different things, so capitalize and bring those things out that the Epicurean does best. As far as a mod, Counterbalance can help tighten it up a little bit, Target Adjuster can help, some targeting on your armor helps. And if you're a fusion rifle user, this is a great change of pace. Throw it on and play to it. Base stat wise, it's just like the main ingredient, it does just fine. It's a pretty fun little fusion. So if you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button, like and comment if you guys see fit. I would like to know what your thoughts are on the Epicurean. What roles do you have, and how does it compare to your Erentil? Thank you so much for watching, spending a little bit of your day with me, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.